I've been trying to do about a video per week, but that's a little bit of a challenge because the next project I want to jump into is going to be difficult to do at the cabin. So I'm trying to bide my time until I get a proper garage to start up that job. But I still want to keep the footage rolling. So when I was in Lowe's a few days ago, something caught my eye, and it's an interesting thing to keep my mind busy, and I think it's also good fodder for a video. This is a Generac IQ 2000 generator. It's been really used up. Someone bought this new from the store, ruined it, and then returned it. It takes a special kind of character to be able to walk in with something that looks like this and try to return it at the store, but I don't know the circumstances. All I know is that this looked like a good opportunity. Original price was $799, and even though it's missing a few parts and the guts are hanging out, the price of $100 is really tempting. At that price, I feel like if I could get it running, it's worth probably at least $500, and if I can't get it running, I could probably sell the parts and recoup my investment. So it's not a terrible bet, but I wanted to sweeten the odds a little bit. So I went up to a manager and I was able to haggle with him a little bit. Out the door price on this was just about $25 after it was said and done. $23.75 plus tax, and here it is out on the porch waiting to be examined. I haven't done anything with it yet because I wanted to share it with you. So first thing we're going to do is take off my trophy here and the packet of service documents. In here is just some information about how they tried to fix the generator. They sent it to a service center, and through their expertise were able to determine that it wasn't worth fixing this generator and trying to resell it as new. Big surprise there. So the first thing I want to show you is what I noticed in the store, and that is that when you pull the handle, it doesn't have any compression, which is bad at first blush, but there's no knocks either, so it could go either way. We still have yet to find out. If we look over here, the access panel has been conveniently removed. I noticed a lot of oil down here in the plastic case. When I take off this oil cap, watch what happens here. I did do this just briefly before the video. So we're on a level surface. Oh! Somebody didn't know how to properly fill the sump with oil. So the first thing I'll do here is get a pan and drain out a little bit of this oil so it's at the correct level. The oil looks like it's never been changed.
It's a nice glossy black.
Okay, even after I take all of this out, when I put it on a level ground again, still it dribbles out a little bit. So just one more splash and that should do it. Best case scenario here, and this is a little bit of a leap, but I'm going to say it beforehand just in case it does pan out, there will be evidence. What if they filled it up with too much oil, so oil got into the combustion chamber, fouled the spark plug, or clogged up the exhaust, something simple, and that's why it doesn't run? I can hope. I don't know, but I thought I'd throw that out there. Next thing I want to do, before I even try to put gas in it, because I am going to take Lowe's word for it that it doesn't run. I may be a fool for doing that, but it's easy enough to pull the plug and see if it sparks, and we'll go from there. Not only do I want to see if the spark plug sparks, which will indicate whether or not the ignition system is working, but I also want to see if it's fouled or if it's clean. First look right here, not bad. That looks just like it should. So even though the engine was very full of oil, I don't think it would affect the running condition, judging by this spark plug. Now I will pull the cord and see if it sparks. No spark.
Try again, please. Oh,
Was it?
yeah, a little flame.
Oh, so it does spark.
Yay!
Okay, so we have spark. I'm glad you caught that. I started open my mouth in a negative way, and you see what happens. I think the next step is to pour a little bit of gas in the fuel tank, then dribble just a touch onto the spark plug, then put it back into the engine and hope for a miracle. Of course, this is a suitable container, and I retrieved this gasoline in a suitable manner as well. Here we go. Not what I'd hoped for. I wonder if I didn't get enough gasoline on the spark plug. It should run, it really should run. I think just as a last chance little effort, I'll remove this breather line that goes from the valve cover to the air intake and dribble some gas in there, because if I put gas in here, it should find its way down into the carburetor. And that should be plenty. If I don't get any signs of life here, we really will need to move on to other explanations.
I'm so used to you working on motorcycles, I feel like saying, can't you give it a little gas?
Maybe I can push start it. It wants to go. Well, they were right. It doesn't run. Time to regroup. The engine only needs a few things to run. Air, I know it's got air. Fuel, you saw me pour the fuel in there, so I know it had gas. Compression, which is iffy at this point. I really recall reading somewhere that these have an automatic compression release, and that's why it's so easy to pull. I don't feel like there's something catastrophically wrong with the engine that would cause it to have no compression, like a hole in the cylinder. The only other thing it needs other than those three, air, fuel, and compression, is spark. I want to check this spark plug again. Remember, Jennifer, when we first checked for spark, I didn't think I saw anything.
Yeah.
And then we saw something.
Yes.
And we assumed all was well in Sparky land. Let's give it a follow-up test. Anything?
No.
Still good?
No.
We've got a tease here. Something is causing this generator to have an intermittent and now non-existent spark. I can think of a couple things off the top of my head. The switch over here, which is also the fuel valve. When we go over here, it's supposed to turn off the engine, and in either of these two positions, the ignition switch should be on. So this could be the culprit, or there could be a low oil shutoff switch that may be faulty. I think there's no other solution at this point than to take off some of these plastic covers and start digging a little bit deeper into this thing. They can't all be home runs, I guess. All right, let's peel the layers back here. I was going to tell you how I was impressed with the way these outer housings are fastened, because they have nice machine screws that terminate into nuts that are embedded in the plastic. But as I was taking it apart, some of the plastic broke off, so this is some brittle stuff and it does not get my accolades. Now we're getting into the meat of it. There's one side. Better not lift it by the handle. Its strength is compromised. Now for the other side, that's better. It doesn't quite look like a suitcase anymore. There's been some developments here. I started poking around trying to figure out why the spark plug didn't spark like it was supposed to. The first thing I checked was the kill switch to test for proper operation. Proper
operation.
I'll set my ohm meter up so it beeps when there's continuity, and unhook the connector for the switch. Insert the probes, and when I switch this over to off, there should be some noise. I'm confident that's working the way it should. As I was brainstorming, the other thing that I thought might be causing the engine to not spark would be a faulty low oil switch. when this engine runs low on oil, it's supposed to automatically shut down the engine. This wire connects to the oil level sensor, which is in here, and it terminates into this connector. So I'll put one of my probes right here and the other one to a ground, and finally try to create an artificial low oil condition. So it looks like that works too. So the oil switch works, the kill switch works. That's a real head scratcher. There could be a lot of other problems. The coil might be bad, some of the ignition components could be bad, but just for fun, I had another look at this spark plug. I'm a little bit embarrassed to admit this, but it turns out that the spark plug doesn't have continuity between the terminal on the top and the electrode at the bottom. It's a bad spark plug. So that's a good sign, right? Right? Not quite. I was reading more and more about this unit last night on the internet. I don't know where I got the idea that it has an automatic decompression system. It doesn't. This engine should have compression when I pull the cord, but it doesn't. In fact, when I put this spark plug in here and take out a handy napkin held in front of this breather outlet, have a look at what happens to it when I pull the starter cord. A cool breeze coming out of here, which means there's a lot of blow-by in this engine. Bottom line, we've got to tear this thing apart, see what's going on. There's either a hole in the piston, something that I really didn't think would be the case with this machine, maybe a really scored up cylinder. Not sure, but we'll find out. Do you think the people at home got the full effect of the napkin blowing in the breeze?
I think so.
Come over here for a minute and just hold the speaker in front of this brass tube. Can you hear that? That's the sound of a tired engine. I don't know what somebody put this thing through, but they got their money's worth out of it. Oh wait, they didn't even pay for it. It was a return. Let's get it apart. What I'm eventually trying
Wow, your hair is really thinning.
Here we go. What I'm really trying to dig down into and access is the cylinder head, but to get at that, there's a lot of outer parts that need to be removed first. The reason I want to get to the cylinder head is that because after I take that off, I'll have full view of the piston and the cylinder. And by the way, there's lots of distinguished, handsome gentlemen with thinning hair.
Benjamin Franklin.
Remind me where all this stuff goes, okay?
I know where it goes.
eBay?
I keep thinking you've got a plunger on the deck.
We can never know when you're gonna need one.
You need to keep it handy.
What are you even talking about?
That.
Oh, this. It's a copper mallet. Daddy gave this to me. It's been misshapen, but it works.
Can you still hit things with it?
Yeah. It's a good memory eraser.
Oh.
I've been contemplating a little bit while taking this apart, and something has been nagging at me.
Probably your wife.
I tuned that out. I can't even hear it. Usually, when an engine stops running, it's because of a single failure. Maybe it loses spark, maybe it runs out of gas, maybe the piston seizes in the cylinder and the flywheel can't overcome that friction. With this motor, there's an obvious problem. There's almost zero compression. But that really makes me wonder if there's an issue at all with the ignition system. Even though my ohm meter read infinity on the spark plug, it is a resistor type, so maybe it just didn't register correctly. Whatever the case, we'll continue on course, taking apart the engine and having a look at the mechanicals, and if there are any troubles with the electrical, we can worry about that later. Nothing in there screams catastrophe. I'll just have to dig a little deeper. Okay, I've got that head exposed, but before I remove it, I want to give you just a quick little demonstration of just what kind of compression we're dealing with. I'll put my thumb on the spark plug hole. Give that a pull, son. So my thumb probably has 5 psi of pressure, and the sealing power of the piston rings can't even overcome that. So hopefully I'm on the right track here. Now this is strange. I just had my boy pull the cord and show you how weak the compression is, but if I turn the flywheel in the other direction, it has compression. I don't know what is going on here. Whatever it is, we're going with it. Do I look like a fool yet? Better keep going. So now, off with its head. Just 4 bolts lie between me and maybe some explanation of what's going on here. Wow. That will have to wait until the next video.
Oh, you're a tease.
Thanks for watching. No, I'm not going to do you that way. Anyone willing to watch this much of one of my videos deserves a prize for their sacrifice. I was really surprised to see what it looks like in here. The head looks perfect, but that's kind of what I expected. I didn't think anything was wrong with the head because all of the compression loss that we experienced wasn't through the intake or exhaust ports, rather it was out of the crankcase. The really amazing thing about this engine is just how wonderful this cylinder bore looks. I can still see the original cross-hatching marks from the factory hone, which means there's really very little wear on this cylinder. The piston looks good too. It goes up and down without any trouble. So the big question is, why doesn't it run? I think I know. Do you? We'll talk it over next time. Thanks for watching.